disease control is going door to door now, asking residents in DeKalb and Fulton counties to volunteer to be tested for antibodies. This is so the health officials can get a better idea of how many people may have actually had the virus. And as you just saw,
jeez, it's impossible. Got to go on a scavenger hunt for toilet paper and bleach. I've been to 2 different stores. There's no bleach. Stop buying it online. Let the grocery stores get restocked, for crying out loud. They can't keep it on the shelf. As soon as they get it, it's gone. Slow down. They're setting it up for the pop-up drive-in. I'll be able to get a few cars in the parking lot anyway. I can tell the difference in the amount of traffic that's going down the roads. They definitely opened it back up. Didn't see this much traffic 2 weeks ago. That's beautiful, sunny, blue skies.
An event, run a road race. So it seems not out of the realm of possibility that a Thanksgiving Day peach tree will be well received by lots in Atlanta. Runners do have options if they can't make that November date.
Last 24 hours. More than 27,000 people have been infected in Georgia. More than 1,100 have now died. Meantime, Georgia is taking the lead nationwide and getting back to business. Cars and trucks crammed Spaghetti Junction this afternoon for the first time in more than a month. Fox 5's Claire Sims spoke one-on-one with the governor and joins us live now with more on why he made this decision. Claire?
Yeah, Russ, Governor Kemp says the Georgians are smart and resilient and now know how to protect themselves from this virus, even without a statewide shelter-in-place order. In a one-on-one interview,
The U.S. Supreme Court, do they have a point?
well, I think first of all, why the former vice president decided to wait until this morning to address these allegations is questionable. If he was going to vehemently deny these allegations the way he did, why not do this at the onset, right when these allegations surfaced? I think it appears this is a double standard when you compare it to Brett Kavanaugh. Stacey Abrams came out and said, I believe Joe Biden. Well, we're in this middle of this Me Too movement where you hear the woman, you believe the woman, and yet she doubles down and says the New York Times did an in-depth investigation and cleared him. Well, as a former journalist myself, we present the facts. We're not the judge and the jury. So I think, she was opening up to these talking points. So that only, I think, adds fuel to the fire when President Trump says, fake news and a media bias. I think, sometimes Republicans really do have a point, and I think this just proves it for them.
All right. Well, let's talk about our coronavirus perspective here in Georgia. How do you gauge the politics of Governor Kemp's decision to end the shelter-in-place order, except for the elderly and the medically fragile? Did he strike the right balance here?
I think we'll know in about 4 weeks, right? Because that's when the data will come out. I think you noticed in Claire's story, he was setting expectations that, look, we are going to have another surge. That's what Dr. Fauci said. But I also think that there is a mixed message that is being sent because while he's lifting the shelter in place, he's also telling people, stay home, if you can. But I think, Russ, what this really boils down to is just personal responsibility.
Now about this virus and the fact that we are not any further along than where we were 6 to 8 weeks ago.
Not on the medical front. Without a reliable therapeutic, right? One that makes people feel as if it means if I get it and I take this therapeutic, I can survive, or a more reliable testing infrastructure. It does feel as if until there's a vaccine, I don't know how we normalize any of these events per se. So I think you have a lot of hopefulness out there. I think you have people hoping they can have the Masters when they have it, hoping that these, assuming that the more time you buy, the more opportunity there is for a therapeutic to work.
Yeah. Chuck Todd, as always, thanks. We appreciate it. We will see you 10 a.m. right here on 11 Alive on Sunday Meet the Press. Thanks.
WellStar is now planning to restart some surgical or certain elective surgeries as early as next week. 11 Alive's Elwin Lopez spoke to their chief surgical officer to find out how they're going to keep the patients and the staff safe during this pandemic.
Dr. Bill Mayfield says Wellstar is ready to start performing elective time-sensitive surgeries as early as next week. He says that includes things like an undiagnosed mass and symptomatic gallstones, among others, but only for patients who aren't vulnerable to COVID-19.
The population we're going to operate on in the next few weeks is the healthier population. We don't want them to be compromised should they get a COVID-19 in the community.
Dr. Mayfield says they will be testing these patients for the virus before operating, and the operations will be done at ambulatory surgery centers separate from the hospitals. And for those without those surgery centers, there will be a separate entrance to the hospital for non-COVID-19 patients.
We're using all the CDC guidelines, American Hospital Association guidelines, American College of Surgeon guidelines for, PPE, personal protection, social distancing, hand washing, wiping down surfaces between patients.
Yet Dr. Mayfield says if we do see a second wave of coronavirus cases, Wellstar is prepared to change course.
If there's another wave and we have a spike in resources and we need to redirect, we're prepared to respond very quickly.
Now, Chief Surgical Officer tells me that these time-sensitive elective procedures do not include a non-urgent cosmetic surgery. Now, he says that if you're not sure whether you need surgery at this time, you can always consult with a doctor via video call.
The end of a beautiful day. I'll be glad when it warms up. I thought it was time for old man Winter to leave.